Everybody, good morning, and today is the 8th day of the month of Kislev, getting closer to Hanukkah. It is also the 30th day of November, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, good. And we say good morning to everybody who is here as we continue studying from the book called The Four Worlds. We're getting close to the conclusion of this book as well.
Could you go over that web address?
Well, the email address, it's just an email address. I don't want to tell you that email address ever again, so you should never know it. You like to bring up the irrelevant here, Fred, because I don't like people using that email address that I care about. That email address I don't check very often.
What is it?
RabbiYossiLou@gmail, which I don't check. I check even less than the other one. So.
What if we get a different address?
Oh, yeah.
But we're in very mixed company.
All right. I can turn the camera to you, and you could lead the proceedings over here, Fred. All right, here we go. So we are on page 46, and we have been discussing the example of remoteness and things that are completely removed and unattainable to the human grasp, to the human intellect, versus things that begin the process of becoming more available to human. In other words, becoming less godly, less apparently godly, and more human.
Can you pass down? Are there any more? Oh, yeah.
Just take the top one. There we go.
And you got one more. Is there one more?
We have to. There should be. We have to make sure you have page 46 in that part.
44, so one page after this. Okay, got it.
And so he used the metaphor of the body and the soul. The soul is the engine to the body, and there are certain things that are in the body yet are out of body. Like they're not tangible. You can't really describe them. For example, feelings. If you can translate the word love? What is it? It's a feeling. Okay, and the feeling. What is a feeling exactly? That's something that you feel. What happens? Like, what do you feel? All of a sudden, it's a feeling that your heart seems to be moving, but it's not moving because it's moving because of the blood, but it's moving because of the feeling. But the feeling is what? It's not tangible. It's a feeling. You don't feel it with your hands, or let's say some brilliant intellect. You can't touch the intellect. In fact, if you use the word touch for intellect, you'll sound like a silly man. I won't say silly woman, a silly man. Because how could you touch intellect? You can't touch it. We borrow the term, I was touched by. But that is not a touch. That's, I was moved by. Moved? Moved? What does it move? You moved? No. What are we going to explain here? It's a human thing that the expressions are almost impossible to express. For example, do you know that under the chuppah in Jewish marriages, the groom expresses a total of 9 words, which are basically legalese that he has to recite in front of 2 kosher, unrelated witnesses in order for the transaction of the marriage to go through. He does not say one more word. She, the bride, says even less. She doesn't say anything. She's under that veil. She does not say one word. Not even, I do. She just accepts the marriage contract in her hand in front of 2 witnesses.
And that's the last time that ever happens.
People don't learn the lesson. Anyway, so Can't you just say, like, look into each other's eyes and say, I will love you and cherish you until blah, 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 blah. And he can say, she can say back whatever she wants to say, and I do the ceremony. But that would cheapen. That makes the ceremony cheap. That makes the ceremony less. Because as was mentioned yesterday, those who were in the synagogue, who came out in the cold, but it wasn't cold inside, those who came out to the synagogue, we discussed yesterday at great length that sometimes it's best not said a word. Intimacy is private by definition. The word intimate means it's intimate. So if two young lovers are standing in a street corner and kissing away the night and whatever, that's not intimate. If you need someone else to see how intimate you are, you're not being intimate, because intimate means private. That's the word. And the more private you are, the more intimate it is. Doing things in public is only because you need the public to say something, or to think something, or to see you. Or you need to feel that the public needs to know, or whatever. Very, very, very rarely is it this man who just, I just can't get home. I can't wait till we get home. Let's just stand in a street corner and just, like, what is that? Unlike an airport where you say a goodbye kiss, a hello kiss, you kissed your loved ones. It's a little different. That's not an intimate kiss. That's an expressional kiss. But this is a kiss that is so personal between spouses that doing it publicly is not intimate. You could be greeting a person with a kiss. You can be saying goodbye with a kiss, but that's not the intimate kiss. That is not found in the Torah. There's so much kissing going on in yesterday's Torah portion. All kinds of kissing, father to children, father to grandchildren, and this. But there's no intimate kissing anywhere in the Torah, because intimate isn't supposed to be public. It's a private matter. And which is why at the chuppah, at the wedding ceremony, the bride and the groom don't have to say one word, because feelings are not describable. So he just says a legal thing. You are betrothed to me with this ring, but that's just a legal thing. He doesn't say one more word. He doesn't express his deepest and most intimate and most personal words, which he'll leave for when they go behind closed doors right after the chuppah. That's different. That's when you're private. So feelings are not something that are describable. If they are, they're not. Then the feeling gets lost. It's more, other people have to hear my feelings. And if other people have to hear your feelings, then they're not really being portrayed to the person that you're trying to portray them. You're portraying them to everybody around you. What's the point? That's not privacy. That's not intimacy. So in the Jewish weddings, there is no I do's and there's nothing. The least you say, the better feeling you have. The better opportunity you have to focus on those feelings. And that's the way it should be. And so there are certain elements within us, within our heart, and especially within our minds, that are simply spiritual. There's no other way to describe them. Everything is provided by the soul, because life is provided by the soul. So the ability to see and the ability to speak and the ability to hear, to smell, to whatever, is all provided by the soul. But you can see the physical matter has to be resurrected in order for that, for those elements to function. But there are other elements that you don't really need the body. It's overwhelming by the soul. These are these intangible things that we have, like intellect or whatever. And we can see that because there are certain people who have talents in certain areas that other people don't. We all have souls, we all have lives, and one person can sing and the other person can't sing to save his or her life. It's just completely tone deaf. And one person can build and the other person can't do a thing. And one person can write and the other person doesn't know what you're talking about, doesn't know how to do that. So the talents are things that we sort of were born with. What is that? Where is it coming from? Born with? Try a dead body. They have no talent. They're just dead. So the soul brings within it certain elements that can be developed and found. Some people don't become writers till late in life, or don't become successful writers till late in life because they hadn't yet gotten into it. One of the most beautiful things, and we'll conclude with this as an introduction. In 1976, wounded soldiers from the IDF, from the Israeli Defense Forces, came to the United States. These were people who had been wounded in the Yom Kippur War, which was in 1973. We're talking 3 years later, and they were a mess, and they had been rehabbed. In those days, we're talking about, 30, 40 years ago, the rehab wasn't as sophisticated as it would be today. And so it's years and years, and they were really down and depressed. A lot of these people were just regular kids, and now they're missing limbs and they're missing whatever. And so they brought them to the United States of America to have a great time, which is something that every Israeli dreams of, coming to the United States and enjoying him or herself. And every Jew around the world dreams of getting to Israel and going up and down the land and visiting all of that and whatever. Anyway, so they came, and then they asked if they can meet with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. They heard about Chabad in Israel. Chabad is very, very busy. Those who were here yesterday at the Kiddush, we talked about that. Chabad is very busy with people who are suffering in Israel, the terror and all of that stuff. That Chabad takes a complete leadership role in going to visit every single wounded person in every hospital around the entire country. Whenever something happens, they're there within that day in the hospital, giving money to the family, giving food, giving them comfort and good words and all of that. This is a whole division within Chabad of Israel. One of the most amazing projects, which is unfortunately necessary. And so they heard about this, and they came to the United States asking to meet with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, sure, absolutely. In late August of 1976, they took the entire shul, they took all the furniture and pushed it all to a side. These people on wheelchairs, they built ramps for them to go down, and they all came in wheelchairs, and they sat in the places where usually thousands of Hasidim would stand together to hear from the Rebbe. The Rebbe comes into his place, and he speaks to them in Ivrit. The only time the Rebbe ever spoke an entire talk in Ivrit. The Rebbe spoke in Yiddish. The Rebbe didn't speak an entire talk in English. He spoke in Hebrew, he spoke in Russian, and whatever, but he never said in English. So this was the one and only time. And he said to them, they're calling you the wounded, or the invalids, the disabled. He said, I would like to propose as follows. He said, when a person has a disability, for example, they may miss a limb, God forbid, then God is the one who made this happen. And he obviously is not going to impose upon these people things that they cannot contend with. Remember, he's talking to people who had this very psychological problem as well. And he said, God can't expect a person to function without a limb if that person doesn't have strength elsewhere in the body, which can supplement or complement or replace that which is missing. And therefore, he said, you see that people who have trouble seeing have developed a better sense of hearing, and vice versa. People have trouble hearing look at more things, and they utilize all of the strengths that they have. Every person has it. But we don't utilize those things because we don't need to. Or we think we don't need to. But in reality, he says, you have actually taken something that God has given you and developed it more than most human beings in this world. So therefore, I would like to call you the outstanding, not the disabled, but the ones who are outstanding. He refused to accept that term of disability. And he said, you've done something outstanding that most human beings will not do. You've discovered something deeper within you. Which, can't get any better than that. Then he said, I would like to greet every single one of you. He came down from his place and shook their hands and gave them $1 with a smile and said 2 or 3 words to them that just they needed to hear. Thank you for your service. Or God bless you, or refuah, or you should have a complete recovery, whatever it was. It was the most amazing experience, which means that we have things within us that we don't even realize we have. And these are deep, deep embedded within us. They could be talents, they could be wisdom, they could be things that we don't realize that we have, or we were too afraid to come out and say we think we can do it. And when we have the confidence and we have the ability to really get in touch with ourselves, we find things within us that we may not have known existed. I remember just 3 months ago, I came home from looking at the property that we eventually bought. And I came into my study and I sat down and I said, are we ready after 2 years to go and like be a permanent are we sure that we're here? Like, you buy this now it's in. It's with full responsibility. I didn't go in this like, hey, let's go, and irresponsible. And I was really I was thinking very, very, very carefully about all the possible pitfalls versus the gains. And I remained confused after about an hour. And what I did was I decided that I'm going to study some of the Rebbe's works, letters that he had between people, like answers that he had given people who had written to him. So I just opened up a book and I started reading, and I got to it within a minute or less. I got to a page that said, "You're asking me about starting this new venture, this business thing and you're concerned that maybe you're not ready for it." The well-known metaphor is, if you don't jump into the pool, you're never going to know if you can swim or not. You got to go and try these things. You got to go and do these things. Once you do them, then you can determine, can I swim or can I not swim? Don't do anything irresponsible. But the thing that seems to be the right thing in the growth and in the building of your future, that should be go. And that was the end of that. I don't have any more confusion. I just jumped in. And the rest, as they say, will be history as well. It's going to be our history. No, the way the thing fell into place and the miracles, that absolute open miracles of acquiring that place was astounding. That's all I can say. I've told this story a couple of times, and I don't have to get into that, but one day I'll probably tell it again as one of the stories of that I tell with all the details that I may have missed over the time. This was about it wasn't supposed to happen this way. I was supposed to have to work and bang my head against the wall, and then people coming back and saying this, no, we can't do this and we can't do that. I just didn't listen to any, no can'ts and no no's. It was just, let's go. And I knew that I was going to just barge through this. And the closing took a total of 5 minutes. We started at 4 o'clock and we finished at 4:05. I said, "Is this it?" Yeah, that's it. What? Wow. Closings usually take, they have big mountains of it. There was a little folder with 3 pages in it. Wow. Sign this, sign that. Congratulations. Anyway, so there are things that we have within us that we don't know that we have because we weren't faced with a challenge to bring it out of us, or because we lack the confidence. We don't think we can do it because we never did it before, so therefore we might not be able to do it. One more story. My wife's challahs are legendary, as we all know.
Yes.
The bakery here is a good bakery. And the first time she made challahs, they didn't quite look or taste like this. It was a few months after we got married, and she went into it. And when I came home Friday night after shul, I think they looked like pretzels on the table, like little. They didn't rise, and whatever. And my wife says, "Look, just in case I bought some other challahs, I have them in the freezer. You don't have to eat this." I said, "Yes, I do," because I knew that she had never made. Her mother didn't let her in the kitchen. What a great cook she is. Well, she never cooked before she got married. And I kept on telling her, don't be afraid to spoil something. If it spoils, so it spoils, or it's something else. But don't be afraid. And if you need, just throw in some more pepper and some more garlic and some more vinegar and make it taste whatever. We'll figure it out, work it out. So I became the practice, and the rest, as they say, is it's good, delicious history. because sometimes you don't know what you're doing, and you have to try. And you might mess up once or twice, and that's okay. As long as you pick yourself up and you say, it didn't work now, let me try a different way, and don't give up. Unless you really don't have it. If you can't sing, ask someone else. All right. All right. Sing in the shower, turn it on. Okay. We are going to turn to page 46. And we're going to go back, a little bit back, just a couple of paragraphs to although. We did this last time, but we're going to go over it again. Although is right in the middle of the page. Although, he's giving the metaphor of the soul and the body and spiritual versus... All right, so although they are spiritual entities, divorced from physical... You don't have a...
I didn't bring my glasses, so it's not
Oh.
that I can listen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Although they are spiritual entities, divorced from physicality, the faculties of the soul are nevertheless perceptible. They are, we can detect and notice them. Their expression through delight, that means pleasure, again, it's one of those things that you cannot express, you can't even explain it. I have pleasure. From what? From flying on an airplane. Are you crazy? Have you seen people around you? They're shivering. Last year, this week, I wrote the Good Shabbos email about the guy who was snuffling in his nose and he couldn't stop. And he said it was a nervous twitch. And when he's on a plane, he's nervous. What are you nervous about? There's more people that die walking on the street than, yeah, but you're not in control, whatever. You have to go through these phobias. But there are people who, I actually enjoy plane rides. My best work has been done. My best thoughts come to me when I'm in the shower and I cannot be distracted by anything else. And my best writing, it comes on a plane. I could be even on the internet on the plane and I'm still able to, I don't know why, but it just brings out, I don't know, it makes me feel good. I enjoy the thrill of it maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure why, but I like the flying is still an adventure for me. And I don't mind flying, I enjoy the flying. So I'm good, I sit down with my laptop, or you sleep. I can do both things very well on the plane. My wife says I can't sleep on the plane. This one says I can't sleep on the plane. I have no problem. I can sleep anyway. If I'm tired, I'm ready to sleep. So people have different pleasures from different things. I like to go on a cruise. Oh, I'm afraid of the water. I don't like the water. I'm seasick. I don't like it there. Oh, okay. Everybody has pleasure in different places. I enjoy beets. I don't enjoy beets. I don't get any pleasure. I don't like the taste, and it does something to me, which therefore I avoid them. So, what are you going to say? This person loves to eat borscht, and that's their whole thing in life, and the other person can't take it, can't stand it. It may be allergic. I like to eat peanut butter, and this one can't. We can die from peanut butter. So the pleasures that we have, we can't really decide why and what and how to express them. We know what they are. We work towards that in life. This one likes to sleep for 8 hours. This one can't. If he sleeps for 8 hours, he's going to be up for 25 after that. Can't do it. It's too much. So these are like pleasure, like delight. It's the most deepest feeling there is. That can't be even, how do you explain it? There's no explanation why one person likes this and when the other person doesn't. You get into the person's head, maybe you can find some things in there. I don't know, if there's a genetic reason for phobias or whatever. But the bottom line is that we have different things, we don't even know why. I like this, you like that, and that makes the world. Yeah. Okay, so therefore, their expressions through delight, will, intellect, this is the soul now. Delight, will, intellect, emotions, thought, speech, and deed, not only attests to their existence of spiritual feelings or matter within us, but also gives us an idea of what they are and how they differ from one another. From the same soul comes all these different talents of thought, speech, action, delight, pleasure, whatever. Intellect, in all of its elements, which are creativity, understanding, probing, all the different things that people do, gives us a conception of its nature and its distinction from will and delight. Because will and delight are very different than intellect. In fact, you can think one way, and your will say, it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter I've come to some certain conclusion, doesn't matter. I'm will to do this, and I'm going to do it. And that's the end of that. That's what I did with the house, by the way. Once I saw that, I said, right, now we're going for it, and I'm gonna get that. We're just going to get it. We're gonna make it happen. Finished. As well as its distinction from emotions and deeds. Intellect is different from emotions, and intellect is different from actions as well. So just as it is with intellect, that its function verifies its nature and existence. That means the fact that we have intellect makes it known that we do indeed have intellect, because it exists and we are using it, and portrays the image of its design, which is to think and to probe and to be creative and so on. We use our intellect for that. So it is with all of the soul's faculties. These, however, in other words, that they all have the fact that they work is an indication that they are existing. So the fact that we have pleasure from something, or we have a will to do something, that just gives us the understanding that they're there, that they exist, because there's no other way to know it. You can't see will in your brain. MRIs and whatever you do, it's not there, because they are intangible, they are spiritual. These, however, are divided into three general categories. This is where we stopped last time. The three general categories. These are transcendent faculties, internal faculties, some of which are composed, like the intellect, and others are animated, like the emotions. So in other words, others we think and we create, and the other ones are just feelings, animations. And also the facilitative faculties. Now, that means faculties that serve other things, other purposes, other reasons. So he's got transcendent, which means that which is intangible, it's like above everything. Internal, then we have ones that we have for others, for outside of us. And here he's going to explain these three ideas. The transcendent faculties are those that are not confined to particular parts of the human body. In the words of the Kabbalah, those are called surrounding levels. The mitzvah, there are three mitzvahs that connect to those transcendent faculties. The mitzvah of a talus, that's supposed to wrap the majority of the person around. Those taluses that go on the scarf level are not talus at all. They're just scarves. The word talus means some kind of a garment that is supposed to unwrap. And that's what a talus does. A talus is supposed to cover the head and the majority of the person's body. That's the talus. There is a deeper, higher mitzvah than that, which is more encompassing, and that is the mitzvah of mikvah. The mitzvah of mikvah is that a person is completely immersed, submerged into the water. It's got to cover every single last hair, and in its totality. So that means that the person is not just the majority of the person, this is the entire person. But there's one mitzvah that's even greater than that, and even more encompassing than that, and that is the mitzvah of sukkah. The sukkah covers the entire person with his or her garments, not just like the mikvah was only the body. And not only that, but even your food. And even the food that you're discarding, even your chicken bones, are all in this mitzvah. That means the entire person, not just the body, but everything that is the person is all sitting in this mitzvah. Not only that, more people can be in that place. You can have the whole entire Jewish people if you build a big enough sukkah, Mel. You can fit all 15 million in a sukkah. Potentially. So we use those as transcendent, to get in touch with the transcendent, which means they're all encompassing, the complete surrounding, where it's not one or two limbs, it's everything. There are two. that are totally and fully encompassing every inch, every element of ourselves. These are will, a delight, and will, pleasure and will, which reside and are active in all parts and faculties of the body equally. In other words, and we've used this metaphor before, but if you have your delight by, let's say, going away for a week to the North Georgia mountains and hiking or whatever, that's your delight. If your toe is hurting you, no, you know that there's going to be something missing. Why did it have to happen now? Did my car have to break down? Did it have to break down like now? Couldn't it break down when I was home and I was able to fix it? And it always happens when it's the inconvenient time. Any little thing that goes wrong immediately removes the pleasure from it. That means, oh, we had a good time, but as soon as you have to say that but, it's lost. It wasn't what it could have been. It wasn't what you wanted it to be, what you expected it to be. And it's the same thing with will. If you have a will to do something, I'm going on that vacation. I'm going to make it work. You cannot say, but my hand doesn't really want to go. Every part of me wants to, I'm not sure what's wrong with my hand. The hand doesn't want to go. What? Will means that I want to go. And if I want to go, then my hand is with me, and my tongue is with me, my head is with me, I hope. My feet and my possessions and everything that I want is with me. If not, then you don't have a full will, and then you may not actually do it. So if you're going half-hearted onto this, it might not work. It probably won't work, because there are things that prevent it. In other words, you don't really want it. You got will means your will is fully encompassing. It's all over, and there's no. It doesn't have a limb with which it expresses itself. It expresses itself everywhere, fully encompassing. It's the sukkah. The internal faculties are those that are confined to certain parts of the human body. That means they are internal. They belong in a certain place. They are intellect, which is in the brain, and only in the brain. Your toe isn't going to think for itself. It can't think. Your brain will tell it what to do, because your intellect is only in the brain. And emotions. Emotions are in the heart. And you can't say that my poor hand has a feeling of its own. What are you talking about? It's in your heart, and that's it. Intellect resides in the brain, which is in the head, while the emotions reside in the heart. They are of different natures. The intellect is composed, the emotions are animated. So the intellect is cold and collected, and the more noise and mix-up there is, the less opportunity you have to think. If you want to really think, you've got to stop noises, and you've got to. There are some people who like or appreciate background noise to help their intellect. But if they were to pay attention to that background, if it wasn't a background, if it came in, goodbye, they would be completely famished. I'm a person who does not appreciate background noise. I have to have quiet. And if it's noisy, even if it's kids running around, and I haven't entered the sphere, the realm of completely out of it, then I get very disturbed by it. I get very, I'm unable to function with my intellect properly. I need to really think. I really need to think, and that's quiet. No music, no nothing. Just sit quietly and think. Look out the window. Look out the whatever, and let your mind wander. Emotions, though, are just the opposite. They are famished. Feelings are all over the place, as they should be. They need there are those details that I was talking about in the Good Shabbos email for this week. And they want more and more mix up. That's what feelings are. Either you get angry, and everything is focused on that anger now. Everything makes you angry, and or you get happy, or you get lovey, intimate, or you whatever. They're all feelings that are, and the more the merrier. More noise, the more yeah, wonderful. So they're animated. They're busy. They're coming back and forth. Whereas intellect is cool. It's cold. It's intellect now. It's time to think. Keep your emotions out of this. Keep your feelings. Let's just think. Now just think. Think. Focus. It's like the difference between fire and water. Water, it's cold. Unless you want to boil it. When you boil it, though, it turns hot. Heat, that's water's about to evaporate. It's going to go away. Heat is all over the place. It's busy. It's noisy. It's loud. Okay, so those are the two so far. We have the encompassing, which are delight and a will, and we have the inner faculties. Those are the ones that belong in certain areas of ourselves. The brain and the heart are examples of that. Now there are the facilitative faculties. They are merely the garments of the soul. Contemplation and thought. That means intellect is what you arrive at, but you arrive at intellect through contemplation and thought. You need that in order to arrive at a certain conclusion. So if somebody posed a riddle, Johnny went down the street and he blah, 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 blah. How many did he think? Now you start contemplating. Wait a minute. You're going to go through you're thinking and you're probing and got it. Now it's in your intellect. Now you have the ability to express it to someone else. And that person will say, "Whoa, that's a genius thing. How did you come up with that?" So they are garments. They are facilitators. They give us the ability to arrive at an intellectual conclusion. And those continue to be thought, and they're speech and deed. Speech, when you say something, it's a garment. It's a vehicle that someone else can hear what you have to say. Hopefully we don't talk to ourselves. Well, not that too much, I hope. That's the first sign, baby.
It's not in a different voice.
As long as you do it in the shower or somewhere that no one else can hear you.
Publicly.
Do it
But
publicly.
it's still me talking. It's not
To
another
yourself?
voice. Right, but out loud, not really out loud.
Person.
Yeah, as long as it's not another voice that's telling you to do something, sometimes you need to talk to yourself.
You mean when you tell yourself, "I told you not to do this."
The third guy said, he did.
Then you know you're in La La Land.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so speech, though, is a vehicle to express what you want to say to others, because you don't have to express it to yourself, because it's inside of you. Now, I'm not talking about someone who is studying something and you want to repeat it so that you can hear it also, and it's just another way of putting it into your head. No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about just having a conversation. You don't have conversations with yourself. You don't have to, because it's within you. Now, if you're talking to yourself through conversation, I have a couple of phone numbers you can call. Anyway, so speech is another vehicle. It's just a garment. A garment is an expression. I wear this because I'm a rabbi. He wears that because he's a doctor. There's this one that wears that because they're a lawyer, and so on. They are expressions of who we are. So speech is an expression to someone else of who we are. And deeds. Deeds are completely outside of ourselves. Whatever we do is outside. Doing is something outside of ourselves. So it may be a deed to take something from the outside and put it in. It may be a deed to build a house, or to the renovations on our new property there, or building a sukkah, or making coffee. These are deeds that are outside, external of ourselves. They are facilitative. Therefore, the faculties are facilitators. The faculty to think, the faculty to speak, the faculty to do are all for other to arrive at other areas. So the thought is to arrive at intellect, and the speech is to arrive at a connection with someone else, and the deeds are to do something from outside, to accomplish things that are outside of us. They do not possess any independent disposition, either composed or animated. In other words, they don't have feelings of their own. They are there to bring something else. So the actions that we do, it's going around. The actions that we do, I need one more. All right, good. That's my feelings. So the actions that they do are really not there for themselves. They are just vehicles to bring something else. That's why I don't associate vehicles with people. I say, did you see his car? No. I don't pay attention to a car. I think a car is just a vehicle. That's all it is. It's just something that you take from one place to another. It has wheels and it moves from one to the other. It should not be an expression of who the person is. And therefore, I don't pay attention. I don't even know what kind of cars they are. Somebody asked me last night, what kind of car do you have? I said, I know it's a Honda. I don't know any more than that. And it has Fayette County plates. But I don't even know what make it is. It's just so irrelevant to me. It's just totally irrelevant. Of course, it'll be irrelevant when something happens, and then they say, what kind of make you? I don't know. When I call, in my many calls to the AAA, they say, what kind of car do you have? I said, I'm not sure. It's a Chevy or an Olds or something. It's one of those cars. Okay, what year is it? I have no idea. What does it look like? It has missing a wheel and whatever. It's a brown and it's yellow. I can tell you the color, and I can tell you where it is. It's just it's so not relevant because it's only a vehicle. It's supposed to take you from one place to the other, and that's it. So vehicles shouldn't have expressions of their own. It's the person who owns the vehicle. It's the person who takes that vehicle from one to the other. That's what you're focused on, the person, not his or her possessions. So I would not walk out there, I have no clue whose car is who. I know my daughter's car because she comes all the time, so I recognize it. I recognize my cars, I think. But that's it. So when something is a vehicle to bring one thing to another thing, it doesn't have a mind of its own. It should be completely nullified to the person. In Kabbalah, they use the term chariot to express the patriarchs and the matriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. They use that term to express how devoted they were to God, like a chariot, like a car. The car doesn't have a mind of its own. It's the person driving the car. That's the whole purpose of the car. There's no other reason why they would. The car doesn't have any kind of reason. It's a chariot. So what's important over here? The horses or the chariot or the people who are in the chariot? It's a no-brainer that. And I feel the same way about cars. It's you want to buy a car that's safe, that's secure, that doesn't break down every minute, and that has some certain comforts for you to enjoy if you're going on trips. You want a radio, so it should your mind, you know what's going on, or you want a CD player, so you can be able to listen to music, and you want some GPS, you know where to go. You want certain things in the car, but more than that, I mean. So they're coming out with the car. 200,000 is the base in Mercedes, where you can sit. You only sit in the back seat. The back seat is where the action is. You can open up your laptop and you are connected. Then you can push a button and you'll go recline. You can sleep as if you're in a first class cabin. And lots of leather, lots of shtussen. That's all it is. Shtussen means folly. It's silly. It's wasting money. It's because he has it or she has it. Therefore, I have to have it. And if you have money to throw around, that's what they throw around money on. And you hear these football or basketball players who have 23 cars in their garages, and they're going broke after they finish getting paid because. Anyway, so a car is a vehicle like everything else. It's a chariot. It should be nullified to the driver. The driver is what counts. It's the person in it. And that's what he's using over here, the same term. They are not on their own. They don't have anything on their own. These facilitative faculties. Because they are facilitative faculties, they conform to the nature of the faculty that inhabits them. So the thought process is conformed to what you are thinking about. It doesn't have a mind of its own. The thought will think about the elephant. Why? Because I want to think about elephants now. So your thought is that vehicle to help you think about elephants. And you have thoughts that help you think. And that's what they do. The thought won't go where it is. When you're sleeping, the thought goes on wherever it wants to go. And that means you're verschlafen. You're sleeping. You're out of it. When you're in it, you decide what thoughts you need to have. And if there's thoughts that you don't want to have, you can say, I'm sorry, I'm not thinking about that now, and I won't go into that anymore, and I'm pushing that away.
And that's the intellect that it's
Right.
subservient to.
Correct. And in the words of the Tanya, every single person can be in control of him or herself, because when those thoughts come, you just push them away with two hands. It's only because you want to oh, that's a nice thought. Let me continue thinking about that. But if it's an inappropriate or wrong or bad or damaging thought, then why think about it? He said to people who worry. Worried sick. I was meeting with somebody the other day. Oh, worried for an hour, worried. I said, what's the worry? Maybe it's not going to happen that way. Oh, it always happens that way. Always? If it always happened that way, then just push away the thought. Banish the thought. Oh, it's easy for you to say. I said, what do you think? I don't have thoughts like this as well that creep into my mind? What do I do with them? Bye-bye. I don't have any time for you right now. I need to think what I can do, not what can't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I'll deal with it when it doesn't happen. Right now, I need to think about what I can do. Worry is just nothing. It's just the most damaging thing we have, because it puts things into our minds that might never ever happen. So we worry. But worry about what? If something is going to happen, it's going to happen whether you worry or not. But most of the time, it's not going to happen. And it's certainly not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. So why worry? A famous adage from a great Jewish sage about 1,000 years ago. He says, the past is gone. The future hasn't happened yet. And the present, it's a fleeting moment. Every moment, every second, it's another second. So why worry? Da'agaminayin. Where are you getting the worry from? That's what people are putting things into their own minds and contemplating the worst case scenarios in their minds. And then they start worrying about it. Oh no, that's going to happen. But who said that? Why is that the outcome? Worrying only puts us behind and only puts us back, and it does not let us be. It doesn't let us be who we need to be, who we can be, who we want to be. And then we walk around all day like, oh no. What? Oh no. It didn't happen. So right now you don't have to deal with it. So don't push it out of your head. But I can't because I'm worried. Then stop worrying. Don't think about it and just move on. So when you fed your teenager Brussels sprouts and they didn't want to eat it because they thought that they won't like it because it doesn't look nice. But you can't know it until you try it. So what do you, just push away the thought and put it in your mouth. You don't like it, don't eat it. But you got to try. So when a person has these thoughts that come into their head, the person is in control of the thoughts because it's the intellect that should drive the thoughts. And you have a choice to think about things that can fit into your intellect and can enhance and benefit your life. And if you have that choice, then you can be in control. You can't allow the thoughts to be in control of you. That's verschlafen. That's what happens when we sleep. When we sleep, the thoughts go haywire. They go all over the place, and you can think about things, and you can fall from tall buildings and float down, and your teeth can all be knocked out at one time because they just crumbled in your mouth. And you have all these crazy dreams. That's because your thoughts are going crazy. Your thoughts are going nuts. But that's not controlled. When a person sleeps, a person's thoughts are not in control. That's why we have these thoughts and dreams and nightmares and whatever. So that's what he's saying here. Because they are facilitative faculties, they conform to the nature of the faculty that inhabits them. When these faculties think or meditate, fulfilling thereby the charge of either the faculty or of delight or will or intellect or emotions, their disposition will change, just as a garment conforms to the size of its wearer. That means if you do the thinking the way you know that you want to think, the way you should be thinking, then the thoughts will follow that. So the famous line, if I tell you not to think about an elephant for the next 60 seconds, can you not think about it? You can't do that, right? Because your thought has now been prescribed to an elephant. And it's the same way, the opposite way. If I decide that I'm not going to think about this, I am in control. Therefore, I will not think about it. But these thoughts keep on coming. Okay, keep on pushing them away. They're only coming to you because you deep down you might want them to think. Just don't want it and get it out. Keep on saying, I'm not thinking about this now. I'm going to think about something else. I'm thinking about the elephant now for the next 60 seconds. That's it. That's what thoughts, they are garments. In other words, they fit whatever you want them to fit. Or a garment it has to go around the person. It has to fit the size of the person. This is what the garments are. Vehicles, facilitators, to help us get to a conclusion. And we are in control. We're controlling what we say, we are in control of what we do, and should be in control of what we think as well. Because the thoughts are in our hands. Not the fleeting, quick things that come into our mind and we want to hold on to them and stop thinking about them. The thinking process is in our hands. As mentioned, the deeds of the faculties describe to us those that power them. That the faculties give us the ability to think of the ones that give them the power. We therefore know the nature of the being of each faculty. We know there's intellect, we know there's emotions, we know there's will, we know there's delight, and so on. True, we do not know the nature of the essence of the faculties. As I mentioned before, it's intangible, so it's like more spiritual within us. But we do know the nature of their outer beings. We know how they function, we know how they operate, we know what they do for us. And since we know the nature of the faculties' beings, we must say that they are finite. If we can know the nature, if we can contemplate their nature, we know that they have limitations. And they can't go too far. For if the faculties were infinite, we would not know them, since the finite cannot grasp the infinite. And we will conclude here for today. And we will probably finish this book next Sunday. I know it's 2 pages, and we never go over the 2-page mark, but there is a beautiful...
That's okay.
We're going to go back to this point again. That's the last point he's making, about the finite and the infinite. And then he's going to tell a beautiful story, and with that he will conclude this letter.
All this,
No.
just,
2 pages.
oh, and then into another book.
The rest is the notes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and then, we have another book.
Would it be possible for Linda and I to have like 10 minutes of your time after this, before we go?
Yes.
They're fine.